This is Red Moon Roleplaying.
Masks of Nyarlathotep. We return to Lima, where our characters have just escaped Hotel España and the hotel room of one Luis de Mendoza, where it would seem that Madeline Hopper has just encountered a creature composed entirely of tongues, some of inordinate size, though their presence and their size is less disconcerting than the fact that there is a humanoid tongue monster. Nevertheless, she fell from the balcony into the street and was saved by Felix and Shelby, who have escorted her away from the place at speed. As you are making your way from the Hotel España team, something that may well occur to you at this point, Madeline, only now that you are gaining distance and some clarity and the panic breathing is starting to slow. There was something glistening in that bed when you looked underneath it, between the mattress and the boards. There was something glistening, something golden, and when you rolled over the bed that time just to get to the balcony as quickly as you could, there was something hard, pointed in there, that drove a wedge into your back, just briefly. Obviously not nearly enough discomfort for you to complain or acknowledge it at the time. But now that you're distant from it, you're sure of it. There was something hidden in there.
Where are we presently?
I believe you are making your way to the museum to meet up with Jackson Elias. But by all means, if you want to head back to the Hotel Maury first or one of the parks to discuss things, you can do that instead. You tell me.
This is going to be one of those things, if we can clear enough distance from the point of her trauma to the point of her disbelief to the point of whatever that experience was, I'm going to stop both of them. I'm not crazy. Please don't think I'm crazy. I just need to tell you what I saw, but I'm not crazy. It's just going to sound crazy.
Hey, I'm listening. What happened? What have you seen there?
So I went to Larkin's room and I could hear snoring. So he was in the room. So I decided not to engage and I went to the next room. I went to De Mendoza's room and it was quiet. It was really quiet. I walk in and there's nothing. The room is spotless. There's nothing in the drawers. There's nothing in the wardrobe. The bed is the room is perfect. It doesn't look like anyone has been there at all. And I look underneath the bed and then I feel breath on the back of my neck. I hear a voice. It said the voice was in Spanish, but somehow I understood it, but I don't speak Spanish. You know, I don't speak Spanish. I'm learning it, but and the voice said, "Madam, you are reckless. The tongue is bloody." And I turn around and then I look at both of them in the eyes and my brown eyes look like puppies, just pitiful puppy eyes as she is like, non-verbally at this moment, just pleading with you to stick with her through the rest of this description. There was a tower of tongues. I know it doesn't make sense, but there was a tower of moving, living tongues. Tongues were spilling like sand over a mound, and it chased me, and that's when I ran to the balcony. That's what I saw in the room. I know it sounds crazy. Please, please, please believe me. I know what I saw.
Madeline, I saw it following you out of the room.
And I look at the two of them incredulously. What? Because I haven't seen anything. And, I mean, the world is filled with horrors, but they're all human. What? I just say?
I had thought maybe Madeline had seen a corpse or something just kind of slid out after her, but I saw a tongue following after her.
A massive sigh of relief, and my shoulder blades are going to connect with whatever the nearest surface is, just where I can lean back and just feel seen in this moment.
There the three of you are. Yes, you are relatively close to the museum, and it seems in the time you've taken to wander around Lima, your travelling companion, Rupert Carruthers, has finally made his way out of bed and dressed himself, which is a novelty. I had to go and fetch my own what the devil's going on?
I give him his pack of cigarettes.
Oh, Tosh, don't worry about that, Shelby. What's wrong, dear?
Suffice to say, and I am putting on a calm, careful voice that Rupert might recognize as the voice of me trying to not get angry or upset or frustrated. I do not believe our benefactors are everything they appear to be, old chum.
Huh. And they've gone and outraged Madeline, have they?
She was... I glance at her and I glance back at Rupert, much abused.
Do we need to get you to a hospital, dear?
I look down on my wrist and I look back up to him and I just shake my head. It's like, no, I'm fine.
A bar? I can buy you a drink or two or even a bottle.
No, I'm okay. Thank you. Thank you, Rupert. I'm fine. And then I am going to just pull out a handkerchief or something and at least wrap my wrist.
Right. Well, that's, shocking.
Yeah, indeed. Very shocking. We were about to head to the museum. Would you like to come with?
Well, museums aren't quite my, and he looks at you, Shelby. Are you giving him a look of, I'd rather you were with us, or go on, fuck off?
I give Rupert that very small shake of my head.
I'll stay close by. How about that? Museums, I get very, very tired in them. It's usually the air. But I'll stay outside. Maybe you're something of a reader, aren't you, Miss Hopper? I'm sure going to a museum will cheer you right up. But I'll hang around, as they say, and if you need me for anything, I'll be out enjoying my new. And he taps his pack of cigarettes. My new cigarettes that Shelley bought me.
Okay.
And he gives you a pat on the back, Shelby. Yeah, he is obviously trying. He is trying to do the best between, I don't just want to be luggage, and I don't want to be in the way, but at the same time I don't want to feel useless. So he's probably going to lean against a pillar for a while, getting through an entire pack of cigarettes.
Thank you, Rupert. And then I kind of clap him on the shoulder and kind of lean close to him, and then I'll whisper to him, if you see Larkin or de Mendoza, let me know.
Yes. I was thinking that very thing. Gosh, this has turned into a different kind of adventure entirely, hasn't it?
I'm sure it'll be just fine and nothing bad will happen. You're a good man.
The best.
Clap him on the shoulder again, and then we will head inside. Now that I've had a moment to think about this, can I use my occult knowledge to see if I've heard anything about a mobile mountain of tongues?
You can be looking for an extreme success.
Totally understand. I saw it briefly, and my one account is from a woman who's very clearly had a traumatic experience, so I completely get that. 35/8, so no, not enough information.
Would you like to spend luck?
No, I don't want to critically fail at this point. So I think about it, try to rack my brain, and I realize, no, there's not enough information. Perhaps something to kind of think about. And I just start jotting in my journal a fresh page of notes, because I think we're going to perhaps learn more as we go on.
Yes, Madeline. Perhaps a visit at the museum. It'll make us forget all about it, and we can talk about it later and try to make sense of it then instead, I say.
I wince at that, but I nod, and you can tell that she's not satisfied with that response or this trajectory, but there's nothing else that I can do about it. Okay. Yeah, let's just forget about it.
The museum, then. The museum. As you head in, that thought in your mind, Madeline, there was something in that room. Not just the monster. There was something in that bed. This room that looked so immaculate, so sterile, so unlived in. There was something being stored in there. But you enter the museum just about the right time to see that Jesse, or that should be Jackson Elias, who you are knowing as Jesse Hughes at this time, is already present, looking at some of the exhibits. His hands are on his knees as he is squinting and looking forward into to one of the cabinets. He stands up, seeing the three of you, gives a wave. I wondered if you'd make it, he says.
Yeah, we just had a bit of a digression, but we're here now. Oh, and that reminds me, and I pull out the pack of cigarettes I bought for him to pay you back for the ones you gave me.
Thank you. They don't allow smoking in here, but I'll enjoy them later. Did you have a nice morning?
After the breakfast, it kind of went downhill, but I'm sure it'll pick up.
Right, he says, looking at the three of you each in turn.
Perhaps a conversation for later.
Perhaps. I did some digging around as well, he says, leading you through the museum. The museum is actually a pretty small building, all told. It seems this is a trend for many of the buildings in Lima. You can see there's a plaque on the wall. It was opened in 1919, so all but a few years ago. And it's a simple 2-story stone building, painted dark yellow, the university park surrounding it. And as he's walking you, he says, Professor Sanchez's office is this way. I was doing some asking around, as I said. I decided I'd poke about the flea markets, find out what I could about this pyramid, and whether any of the locals knew of it. Naturally, it's like asking a New Yorker if they know what's going on in Mississippi. I mean, it's a big country. Why would anyone in Lima have to know anything about what's going on in the mountains? But one thing I found, an antiques dealer on the market. Strange fellow, oddly didn't look, and he says this with some thought, didn't look complected as if from here. I wondered where he might be from, but he wasn't interested in providing me an answer. I spoke to him about any artifacts from any pyramids in Peru, and he said to me with some certainty, the only people interested in the pyramids of Peru are, well, he used a different word, but essentially cultists. People who want to not just excavate them, but awaken them. There seems to be a real historical desire from many of the people here, academics and spiritualists, those who believe in the old ways and want to see them revived. That said, I spoke to another person, he says they're knocking on a door at the end of the hall, who claimed, sure, pyramids are unearthed every decade or so, and whenever they are, archaeologists, so-called archaeologists, show up, loot the place, and then sell all of the items they pick up north of the border. Either they head all the way up to Mexico or go even further into the USA. He knocks on the door again. This is Sanchez's office.
It seems pretty consistent with what we've heard. I wonder if one of those former quote-unquote archaeologists found the items that were then sold to or given to Larkin.
Huh, yeah. He rubs his chin. That's actually a good thinking there.
It will explain why the disparity of time periods happened, if they just lumped it all together and moved it on.
Yeah. You know, you may be right. He knocks again. Where is the professor? And, despite expectation, perhaps to the contrary, the door opens. A white-haired fellow, bearded, tufts of hair poking out from behind his ears, thick spectacles perched on the end of a quite long nose, stands there smiling. Jesse, he says. Good to see you again. And he's speaking in perfect English. And friends of yours? Yes, this is Shelby, Felix, and Madeline. Or I should say, Mr. Shattuck, Herr Bauer, and Ms. Hopper. Oh no, first name terms is fine by me. You will find that I am, I prefer that what we talk about is talked about informally. Come into my office.
Thank you very much for your time, sir.
I'll follow with.
Now, he says, sir, close the door, have a seat. His office is more of a, well, library of files. And library is generous, because there are files sticking out all over the place. This place is a fire hazard. It's undoubtedly in a system that he understands, but anyone else looking to make their way through it would need to start, well, somewhere, and where that somewhere is far from clear. Well, there is a chair buried under there somewhere. Madeline, he says. And he clears some papers, moves them to another stack very carefully. There you go.
I am staring forward just at a fixed point in nothingness and heard absolutely nothing that he said. It's almost like I'm completely dialed out or not dialed in, especially to that normal level of curiosity and tenacity. Doesn't even recognize that a seat's been opened.
After a moment, I'll touch her arm and kind of very gently nudge her towards the chair.
I startle. I look at the chair. I look at you. I nod, and then I smile. It's a very radiant smile. I can fake a good smile. I've been faking those my whole life. And I'll go and sit down in the chair.
Well, he says, utterly oblivious to your discomfort. I am Professor Sanchez, but as I say, first name terms, Nemecio. And, Jesse and I have corresponded. Jesse has stopped by the museum more than once to talk about the interesting events that take place here in Lima and in surrounding Peru. Are you three archaeologists, folklorists, antiquarians?
I'm an amateur folklorist, shall we say. I'm primarily a writer, and I've done some minor monographs you probably haven't read, but I do find the topic fascinating.
He laughs, claps you on the thigh, gives it a shake. Haha, well, we all start off as amateurs somewhere.
True, that's true.
I long for the day of being an amateur, he says, leaning back in his chair, as if reminiscing. Oh, when I first started out, the wonder, the joy of discovery. Truly, being an amateur is far more interesting than being a professional. And how about the other two of you? Felix? Madeline? Do you have an interest in history, archaeology?
I've always been interested in history, but must confess that I'm very much just an amateur. No, I'm here to keep my friends safe as we explore the history that's hidden out there in the jungles and the mountains of this fine continent.
You are here with the Larkin expedition, aren't you? That's how Jesse knows you.
Very perceptive.
Well, you see, I saw the ad in the paper, and and now that Jesse has introduced you, of course, I am putting two and two together. You are here to help Augustus Larkin on his expedition.
Yes, that is why we are here. It's it's a very interesting adventure, I say, looking to the others.
Well, as I have told Jesse, I do not support this expedition. The fact that he has rejected a genuine local academic's presence tells me that this is nothing more than a glorified looting expedition. Now, he says, raising a finger to the air, there are no laws in Peru to prevent foreigners from looting our history, and this fact does frustrate me deeply. These people... Huaqueros is what the Quechua would call them. Grave robbers. He shakes his head. I must implore you to do otherwise. I've tried convincing Jesse that this is a fool's errand, and what's more, a frankly immoral one. He looks at all of you. Are any of you about to fall on the sword of morality and say, no, I can't do it, I won't venture with Augustus Larkin?
I briefly consider it. Considering I originally approached this as a bit of a lark, and now I'm dealing with a woman I barely know who's been clearly very traumatized, and finding more nefarious underpinnings to it. But instead, I say, I think those are all very valid concerns. But it was my personal hope, I suppose, that having someone on the expedition who could maybe curtail some of the worser instincts of such a group may be of benefit.
Haha, you are seeking to maybe convert the grave robber.
Exactly, or at least point them in better directions, if possible. But I am sadly very familiar with these kinds of men. Standing up on principle may make me feel better, but we will not stop them in the least. They'll simply do what they wish to do.
Jackson Elias laughs at that. Well, on that you are quite correct, Shelby, but Professor Nemesio, come on. You know the reason I am here, and is not just to introduce you to my friends. If you are so keen on these people not going to the pyramid with Augustus Larkin, you need to tell them what we were planning.
Oh.
And Nemesio looks at you with a little bit of a pantomime twinkle in his eye. Well, yes, I have got a plan, you see. I have been going through the university library, myself and my assistant Trinidad Rizzo. We have been looking through the archives for any possible information about this pyramid. You see, I thought if Larkin isn't taking me seriously, I should just get to the pyramid before him. Treat it as an actual archaeological dig rather than a, well, grave robbery. And I had told Jesse that I had discovered something that would be of worth, and so he brings you to me. It was a letter, or document, written in the mid-16th century, by my best guess, by a conquistador by the name of Gaspar Figueroa, that may refer to the site in question. It's difficult to read. My assistant Trinidad, she has been working on a summary of it and picking out the pertinent details. But she's right now in the storeroom, right beneath us, looking for a corresponding artifact that might help with translation. It's an old Spanish. I guess you might consider it rustic. At that, Madeline, that feels strangely connected to the tongues and the way they spoke to you.
Ugh. Shiver runs down my spine. I'm suddenly sitting up very erect in the chair.
Rizzo should be along soon to join us. As I say, she's just gone to fetch the artifact. She'll be back any moment. So, I suppose now is a good time as any for me to answer any questions you have about Peruvian history and archaeology, my favourite subject. Jackson rolls his eyes at that. Clearly, Professor Sanchez, as convivial and friendly a man as he is, does love the sound of his own voice. And what academic doesn't love to talk about his subject of choice? When there is all of a sudden a hammering on the door.
Ugh.
I do apologise for interrupting. If you're in there, Shelley, are you in there? Are you in there?
Yes. What's wrong, Rupert?
Oh, good. And he just opens the door. Oh,
I apologize, sir.
Pleased to meet you. He says to Sanchez. And before he can get the words out, he does this mime. He first sort of puts a finger over his upper lip, and then he does a sort of a bear about to pounce gesture and a grrr, and makes all kind of pantomimes, and then says, De Mendoza.
Oh, yes. Is he here?
Well, he entered the museum.
Glance at my friends.
I tried to hold him up because I didn't even see him approaching, truth be told. I mean, he was all of a sudden he was there on the steps. I promise my eyes were fixed on the street, and there he was. And he came towards me, and I decided to talk about the expedition. I said, "Why, hello there." He just pushed right past me, straight into the museum, bold as brass, very rude. And frankly, he smells. And I don't mean that I'm not trying to be insulting way. I mean, he smells of off meat. This is a man who needs more than a bath. He needs a scrub in all of his loose bits.
No, you were right to come here, Rupert. Thank you for letting us know. Professor, I think we should maybe temporarily stop this conversation if I know what's going on.
Oh, yes, of course. Well, if there's one of the other members of your expedition here, maybe you should invite him in as well, says Professor Sanchez.
No. No, I don't think that's necessary.
I'll just go outside, make sure that everything is all right, and perhaps see if I can give you some time.
Thank you, Felix.
So, what's the plan of action here?
I'm going to go out, and I'm basically going to try to distract Di Mendoza. It doesn't seem like it's going to be easy to do that, given that that's apparently what Rupert just tried to do. But perhaps he will respond more to me, given his seeming, dislike of me. And I'm perhaps a little bit more intimidating, let's say, than dear Rupert.
Okay, you head back out into the museum, and looking around, and there's a pretty open plan, all told. You can't see him here. He is not on the museum floor.
I continue walking around and searching, trying to figure out where could he have gone?
There is a door that heads out into a corridor deeper into the museum. Maybe it connects to the university.
Yeah, I'll try that.
It's unlocked. You pass through it. Well, the corridor heads upstairs, maybe to rooms. This is only a 2-story building, and downstairs toward the storeroom.
I'll go downstairs.
Tell me, Felix, are you doing any of this with, let's call it, caution, or are you attempting to intervene at whatever this is at speed?
I'm moving at speed, because as much as the people I'm with have said that they've seen strange things, I have seen no such thing, and I'm no believer in anything out of the ordinary. I know that there's human cruelty out there, and there's dangerous men, but I'm a dangerous man, and how bad could it be? I mean, really. It's just a small, smelly man.
And so you move at speed into the storeroom, the door of which is ajar. You are now in a room lined with floor-to-ceiling shelves, most of which are packed with crates, boxes, and bags containing a huge variety of artifacts of historical interest, were that your reason for being down here. Between the dim electric lighting and the packed shelves, it is very difficult to see far in the storeroom. The dark shadows, the poor visibility, and the tight spaces between the rows of shelves do nothing to assist in your search, though again the door is open, and you were told that Trinidad Rizzo was down here, working on something. I would like for you right now to make a spot hidden roll.
That is 56 over 40, but I really want to get this one. So I'm going to use a point of luck, and then this might go bad. That is a 0-1.
It really doesn't get any better than that. Felix, trying to make sense of the shadows that seem to move, they shift down here as if alive, and the labyrinth of shelves, of boxes, of books and paperwork, it is very difficult to make sense of anything down here. But then you see something flop onto the ground. It is a hand connected to a wrist. It has fallen behind one of the stacks of boxes, just within sight. You could rush to it. It looks like the limp appendage of someone who has either just fallen unconscious or, died. And ahead of you, and this is the most crucial thing, as you approach, you can hear what sounds... It's a combination of noises. It's a combination that you've not heard before. It's a combination of grinding like a machine, like gears grinding, or a meat grinder indeed, and slurping. What we might in the future refer to as a waste disposal.
I'll pull out my Luger and I'll move closer. Something might have happened to his assistant.
Asking again, caution or speed?
Now caution.
Now caution. Okay, make a stealth roll.
Is 34 under 40.
In that case, you use the shadows to your benefit, creeping between the shelves until you get full sight of what is before you. Make a sanity roll, and then I will describe to you what you see.
That is 55 under 70.
To you, it strikes you as unnatural, as bestial, but right now it's combat instincts taking over. What you can see is a young woman who you assume is Trinidad Rizzo, laying on her back in distress. The air has been driven from her lungs. She hasn't even had the opportunity to scream. One of her arms is clawing, pushing away at the figure that is clambering on top of her. It's, in fact, clambering on top of her is maybe the wrong way of describing it. Clambering up her, starting from the legs and clawing his way up her hips until his maw, because it isn't a mouth, is directly above her chest. And that is what is grinding and slurping, because you can see it in the dim light that you have. It's like the mouth of a lamprey. Row after row of curved fangs designed to hook into something and then, presumably in this case, work in a grinding motion, moving side to side to bore their way into the prey. And it's at that point that this figure, who you recognize just vaguely as Di Mendoza, plunges his jaws down onto the chest of Trinidad Rizzo.
Mein Gott, I just say to myself in German, and I have my gun out. And I shoot at it, whatever it is. It's some monstrosity. Maybe I can still save that woman.
Maybe you can. You're at point blank, so I'm actually going to give you a plus 20 to your firearms here. He is unaware of you. He is involved in something that keeps him distracted, so you have plus 20, not to your roll, but to your skill.
That is a 19.
Well, that is an extreme success with the improved firearms skill. Okay. So, you've got the damage listed for the Luger. Make a 1d10 roll.
That is an 8.
Difficult to miss at this angle. Difficult to miss anything but vitals. Indeed, your bullet connects with the back of the dome, cracking through his skull, and spattering the face of Trinidad Rizzo with brain matter and chunks of skull, bits of hair and skin, but successfully excavating his brain from his head. The lamprey jaws grind down onto her chest, and now she screams. You think he's dead, you just don't think he's extracted. Like a leech or a tick, this thing needs suffocating or burning off. Maybe not literally, but he is hooked in. Those of you upstairs now. Shelby, Madeline, and, with it, Rupert and Sanchez and Jackson, too. You hear the gunshot. I say! Was that gunfire?
I get up. I should go look inside. Professor, I think you should maybe stay here. I don't want you to have any... I should just go look, and then I'll leave.
Trinidad, he says, getting up from his seat, and Rupert pats him on the shoulder and says, Don't worry, but Shelley's on the case. Shelley's on the case. Jackson heads out with you. What about you, Madeline? Are you following Shelby, or are you...
May I snatch on to Jackson Elias's wrist as tightly as I can as he's leaving the room to try to stop him? Just outside of the office.
What is it? Well, I should help him.
I need you to listen to me. I need you to listen to me very carefully. Everything I'm going to tell you is going to sound crazy, but with the events that are happening now and what's happening here, someone needs to know this in case something happens. And then I'm going to relay to him as quickly and non-panicky as I can everything that happened in that hotel room. I mean, from top to bottom.
His eyes widen. At no point does Jackson look as if he disbelieves you. In fact, there are several nods, a fine line of a mouth, an agreement in his expression. And when you describe the tongue creature, he mutters, the cult of the bloody tongue. And finally, he gives an affirmative nod and says, This is how these people work. I will stay here with you, Miss Hopper. I will stay here with you, Miss Hopper, and the Professor. And me, and Rupert, yes. Because these creatures, these people, they like to separate and they look for vulnerability. And he pats his jacket and then extracts a firearm. If Shelby's headed down there, I'll protect us up here.
I bite into my bottom lip and I nod. And there's this dual moment where I should feel safer for the fact that he's willing to stand guard. I'm not a combatant. I'm not a martialist. I outsource that. I should be feeling comfort that he has a firearm and that he seems confident and knows how to use it. But my real sense of temporary safety, the real comfort that I'm receiving right now, is the fact that he actually knows what the hell is going on. And I nod, and I try to stop myself from welling up with tears, and I'm going to circle my happy behind directly back into that room and back to my original chair.
There, dear. Don't worry, Shelley will deal with it. It's very good at dealing with things.
I believe you.
Shelby, I assume you're moving at speed down into the direction of the gunfire into the basement.
Yes, I am not at all moving cautiously.
Okay, 2 steps at a time. I'm not going to make you roll to see if you tumble and fall, even though it is dark. Rather, you are trying to get to the side of your companion, Felix. Felix, you have the opportunity to let off more than one shot if you feel it's necessary, but De Mendoza isn't moving. It is just that his maw is clamped to Rizzo's body. She is alive, which was no guarantee. But she is screaming and flailing and trying to push him off, and every time she does, more blood escapes from the wound. And then she screams at you, Felix, her eyes meeting yours. There's something in the mouth! There's something trying to crawl into me!
And I'll try to pull it away from her, trying to, separate it from her somehow if I can, if I'm strong enough.
Okay. As you are yanking on De Mendoza, trying to pull him away, this is when Shelby joins you, because this maw is clamped on too tightly. This is not something that you can just pull off of the body. So I'm going to give one of you, given that you are assisting the other, a +20 to your strength. This is, Shelby, if you are simply rushing up and helping to move the body. If you are intending on doing anything more...
Yes, I'm asking questions.
So whichever one of you has the highest strength, add 20 to it. I believe Shelby, looking at it, your strength... Oh, in fact, it's the same. So which one of you feels lucky? Roll underneath 80.
I was going to say, since I came on the scene after you, it made more narrative sense that would help you.
Good luck then, Felix.
38 under 80.
It doesn't help Rizzo a great deal, because yes, while you extract De Mendoza, and you can see something larval, wriggling and writhing, like an enormous tongue, but possessed of a sentience that would be, let's call it uncommon, for a mouth appendage. It plops out from his maw as he falls back onto the basement floor, and writhes around on the ground. Rizzo starts bleeding horribly, because now whatever was encasing the wound, not that that was helping much, has not only been pulled free, but has also ripped off great chunks of her flesh with it. Half of one of her breasts has been ripped off, is embedded in the fangs protruding from De Mendoza's mouth. You can now see this, Shelby. You have never seen anything like this. Felix, at least you have seen bodies being blown apart, ripped to shreds on the battlefield. Shelby, make a sanity roll.
74 under 85.
Okay, this is the first time you've ever seen a mutilation like this, so this one isn't something you can just grit your teeth and digest. You succeed, but you're still going to lose a grand total of 1d3 sanity. I know it's not much, but it's enough.
So 1 point, thankfully.
In that case, it is a case of gritting your teeth, feeling one of those fillings almost burst. Because, yes, you've got to keep it together, Shelby. You can't break now. This is horrific, but this woman needs your help.
I will take a moment, and even though everything's going on, I'll just take a second, close my eyes, just kind of deep breath, and remind myself that I support my friends. I'm there to help them. That is the one thing I've learned from my childhood by bad example. by seeing some people betray and turn on each other. I learned that loyalty is the most valuable thing to have, so I take a moment and just push it down, just push it deep down inside of me, lock it away, and that will have no possible negative consequences down the road.
Doctor, we need a doctor. I'm not really all that good with treating this severity of injury, but perhaps there's someone. I mean, people would have heard the gunshot, and if I yell loud enough, perhaps we can get someone down here who can actually really help this poor lady.
I can, yeah. Yes, I'll keep putting pressure on things, and I will go see if I can find a doctor.
Unfortunately, you are beneath street level. The likelihood of anybody outside having heard this gunshot and attributed it as more than a car backfiring is slim. But rushing back up to the museum ground floor, you're shouting out for a doctor. Madeline, you hear this, can only help but fear the worst.
I'm staying in this chair. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stay right here in this chair.
Jackson says, I can assist. I know a little bit of first aid. Madeline, he says, passing the gun to you.
I accept the gun, reluctantly, and I glare at him as I do.
If anyone comes through that door that you don't know, and he leaves it hanging there, and rushes out. And yeah, it's an open question, really. Do what? Shoot them in the knee? Hit them in the torso? Go for the head? What if it's just someone who works in the museum? What if it's a guest?
And I'm already wound so tight. Like, what if I miss? What if I can't control the recoil? Like, I've only fired a gun a couple of times in my entire life. I only have the base. I'll stay here. And I'll make the best decisions I have that with the information that's in front of me at the time. It's the best that I can do. That's why I support my team right now. As this revolver, I'm assuming, is like shaking in both of my hands.
Very much so. So, to remind us, who is staying with the body?
I am staying with the body then, putting pressure on the wound as best as I can. It seems to be quite big, so I don't know how easy that is.
It is a cavernous wound, yes. It has ripped away, and in fact, as your hands go on it, as your hands touch the wound, you realise that the slime that was oozing from that drooling maw, there's a caustic quality. It isn't burning through your hands down to the bone, anything near so severe, but it is loosening the skin. It makes your hands tingle. Felix, make a first aid roll.
I'll try to push through it. I really want to save this woman's life. Well, that's a 15 under 30.
It's a hard success. You quickly wrap your hands in your jacket, and you push down with that, so that there is no damage done to your skin any more than already has been done, and you're able to keep pressure. She enters shock, which, despite your best efforts, is not something you're going to be able to stop. It might be for the best right now anyway that she's unconscious, even though shock rarely leads to a good outcome. At least she's unaware of the mutilation. Jackson bumps into you almost literally, Shelby. What is it? Who's been shot? And who needs the doctor?
There's a woman downstairs. She's been torn apart.
Rizzo, yes, okay. Look, just show me.
I show him down.
Jackson follows you down. What occurs next flows out largely as montage, in the sense that in the dim light of the storeroom, it's impossible to perform any surgical or medicinal miracles. Jackson neither has the expertise nor the equipment, but by God he tries. Due to the rapid actions of our player characters here, Trinidad Rizzo does not die. Everything fell into place that will ensure that she survives, and that Jackson can, with the good efforts that Felix has applied as well, ensure that she does not bleed out, and that by the time an actual doctor arrives, she can be taken to a hospital. All the while, you've been sat there in the office with Professor Sanchez and with Rupert, Madeline.
Yeah.
Jackson returns. It's all clear that. And I will also point out, the thing that fell out of De Mendoza's mouth, wherever it's gone, it's disappeared into some of the files or boxes or shelves. It's not exactly been the focus of your attentions, Felix. So yes, Madeline. Jackson comes back to you. It's okay. It's alright. It was just De Mendoza. I've not seen any evidence of any more of them. Anyone else down here seeking to do us harm. I think everything's as okay as it's going to be.
Is he dead?
Felix and Shelby are fine.
Okay, good. But Mendoza, is Mendoza dead? I think he knew I was in the room.
Well, Felix shot him in the back of the head. Sanchez's eyes widen, and Trinidad, the doctors are on their way now. And so, the next few minutes pass, the doctors arrive, she is taken from the museum, and by the time the hour is up, each of you with the professor are sat there, smoking or drinking. He has broken out his special brandy. What could have... And Sanchez shakes his head. Jackson looks at all of you. This is what I'm talking about, what we're dealing with. These are not just looters. These are cultists of the lowest order. They're not seeking religion, they are seeking... There are groups like this all over the world. It was my suspicion that Larkin and De Mendoza, maybe one, maybe both, were like this. Were maybe not this creature, but something unnatural.
That certainly changes things.
It does.
But why attack Rizzo? Says Elias, looking at the professor. Maybe, he says with a bit of a shrug, and then downing his drink. Maybe he intended to come for me. Maybe knowing my interest, my persistence in trying to get into this expedition, he was coming for me, and realizing that all of you were here, he'd headed down to the storeroom, expecting that I would head there later. It's my best guess.
That thing. I mean, De Mendoza, he wasn't human. How is that even possible? I mean, is this something you see often? It's not supposed to be real.
Jackson laughs at that, but it is not a good-natured laugh. No, not often. But these things do exist.
How come we didn't know? I mean, surely this should be something that we should all be trying to do something about if it exists. How come I only learn about it when I have to actually fight against it? How has this been a secret for so long?
He lights up another cigarette, and as if to demonstrate his mood, he doesn't offer one to anyone else. It isn't as if they are crawling all over every city and every country in the world, Felix, he says. They're in the darkest corners, the places you don't look. Usually when... I say usually. It is often the case in my researches that some academic who means well, some antiquarian or the like, digs into something they really shouldn't and awakens something that's been sleeping for a long time.
And that's what's happened here, then. But what we're about to do, are we about to unleash more of those things? Is that what this was aiming to do, then? If De Mendoza and Larkin, I mean, they're the ones who are looking for this, is that our role in all this?
We need to think carefully. Let's finish our drinks, and then we will take action. Thus ends this session of Masks of Nyarlathotep. Our characters on the precipice now of diving deep into cosmic horror. They have encountered their first monsters, but most certainly not their last. Join us again next time.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we play Masks of Nyarlathotep for Chaosium's Call of Cthulhu 7th edition. Joining us as our keeper is none other than our dear friend Matthew Dawkins, and we were also joined by Bridgett, Jeffries, and Eddy Webb. The music was made by Aegersonus and Halgrath, and we've also used Cryochamber's Lovecraftian compilation albums. All of this with the permission of Cryochamber. Check out their website at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for some moody dark ambient for your gaming table. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Simon Cooper, Julia, Camilla, Bob Lange, Cameron, Graham Barey, Doug Thomson, Lily, Maciej, Black Templar, Dennis Sadecki, and Leonhardt for their generous support. You would of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, this show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cult of the Lost, Call of Cthulhu, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, and Warhammer 40k Imperium Maledictum there. And you can also get early and raw access to all of our recordings, and hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as even play some Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you again for listening, and remember, I am the last. I will tell the audient void.